Thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of Let's Talk About It. I am
Yes,
so
yes.
excited about today because you know what? It's kind of like we have people that really understand us that are coming on today. You
Mm,
know, with dealing with
yes.
the book collaboration.
Okay, talk about it.
I mean, launches and, just like that whole process, the editing and, do you have your bio in and all the
Oh,
different things, right?
yes, all the things. All the things. Okay.
So I'm really excited for them though, because there's quite a story that goes with this. So we're going to hear from the lead organizer, Melahni Ake, is going to be joining us. But we're going to first introduce ourselves and we're going to share a couple of things before we bring them on. They have quite a group, so we are going to be rotating everybody in as they pop into the studio. But this is just going to be a fun, engaging conversation. So I encourage everybody to put any questions in the chat. When you're dealing with the anthology, it seems like it's never enough pages, one, for the book. It's like, oh, I really don't know if I have enough. And then it's like you got to cut it down and cut it down so that it fits. So we already know that we may be really getting into some good conversation. And so we would welcome you to ask questions so that we can possibly have them come back or take up another episode where we can dive a little deeper into some of these topics. But before we get into all that, I want to say that I'm Lachelle, also known as America's Supermom, mother of 15 children, and I'm a TV producer with Keep It Real TV. And we are passionate about helping you to monetize your message and create a global impact in the world. And I'm excited to have Anita with me. So, Anita, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lachelle. It's always great to have you as a collaborator and having sharing the space with you. As you said, I am Anita Newson, also known as Anita and the Biz Coach, and my passion is to connect people with people, places, and opportunities where they can grow and expand. And so I am also a producer under Lachelle's micro network, Keep It Real TV, as well as the Zonja TV network. And my channel is, look, I got so much going on in the background. I don't forget what mine is. Oh, mic drop. Okay.
I love it. Look, we're seeing if they're paying attention. Okay, that's all.
Exactly. Yes. So the name of my channel is You Make a Difference TV. And I just love our community and what we're doing here. And I am excited about the authors we get to talk to today, Lachelle.
Well, I'm excited to have them too. So I was mentioning before we hit record that Melanie, we actually met, on my beginning journey of doing Facebook Live videos. And she was one of my guests that was helping me overcome my fear of being on video. And we didn't know that, well, I actually was from Indiana, but, at the time, I don't know, we just got right into the content. And so it has been over time that I've been able to meet her in person and everything. And she's the inspiration behind my profile picture, if any of you have seen it, with the yellow mug. So I'm excited to have Melanie come and join us. We are making sure that she's ready to come on. But before we get to that, because I see her moving around. All right. So here she is. I'm bringing her up. Okay. I love this green room thing because then I can see. Okay, there she is. She's getting the mug. Okay.
There we go.
Got to
I
get the
love
props
it.
together. Yes.
I love it. I love it. So, Melanie, please introduce yourself before we get into today's conversation.
Oh, first of all, thank you, ladies. This is so much fun. It's the first time that I have been able to put a project together and say, we need people to help us share this. So I appreciate your platform because I know what that means. I do it for a lot of people and I know how important it is. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for saying yes to hosting us because this is, we're just grateful. We're grateful to be able to do this. And when you put a collaboration like this together, it takes a lot of time, energy, and resources. And so today is celebration day.
Yes. I love it. I love
Woo!
it.
So, but I'm the founder of Everyday Leaders, and my company really helps people strategize how to be consistent, to build courage and confidence every single day. Um, there's a lot of things that I'll tell you about later, but the strategies that you'll find on my website, everydayleaders.com, help you to figure out, is it life or is it personal or is it business? And I really start everything with John Maxwell's 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Plugging for that because it changed my life. And that's where I start with every single person that I work with that connects to me that says, hey, how do you get done what you get done? And
Mhm.
so I talk about that a lot in my chapter, but I just want to encourage people. This book was a collaboration that started a couple of years ago this month, and been a lot of humps and bumps and challenges, and God kept showing up, blessing me with other things to say, like, let me get this out of your way here and do this, and then the devil showed up. And
Mhm.
yet I knew, like, this was a project of the heart that had to be completed. And so with prodding and like, when's the book going to be done? When you're accountable and you tell people out
Mhm.
loud that you're going to do something, you have to figure out a way to get it done. And so I knew that just the timing, right? God's timing
Mhm.
is so perfect. So, yeah, so we just released the ebook yesterday, and we have already hit number one new seller, like new hot release, right? So we're excited about that. And we're trying today to get to number one Amazon bestseller. We're climbing and we're climbing. And I think we're about between 15 and 20 now. But we are excited because we just keep seeing those numbers elevate. So this will really help us get the word out, and getting that 99-cent ebook today and downloading that. And once people do that, Lachelle and Anita, we're also giving away a drawing for a
Mm.
$25 gift card if they will leave us a review. So
That.
so that's what we really want to share. And we are just, these people are amazing that you're going to meet, and how they are transforming their lives, which is the underline of the book, everyday moments, lessons that transform lives. And these people have just hearts that they are transforming their own lives to make
Mhm.
changes in the world. And I love every single one of them.
I love that. And, so tell us a little bit about this journey. You mentioned that it was 2 years in the making, and tell everybody a little bit about how you even got started with Everyday Leaders,
Yeah,
right? Because
well,
that's a whole story, right?
so Everyday Leaders started, really the idea when I joined the John Maxwell team in 2016. It was, John was teaching the 15 laws of growth, and I was really into learning masterminds and personal growth. And I thought, well, Everyday Leaders is really what he talks about, doing intentional acts every day. And so I really started my business from my podcast, Everyday Leaders 50 in 50. And so that started on my 50th birthday in 2018, and it was really designed as a theme to have 50 guests in 50 weeks in my 50th birthday year. So what was cool about that is my birthday was the second week in January. So, 2017, I was like, okay, Joe, my husband producer, like, you're gonna do this for me. Help me. And he's audio video guy. So he, like, it was so easy for him to do. But we worked together as a team. We started producing shows, and we did audio for a few years and just continued that journey, of really understanding and learning from other people what their stories were of success, how they were overcoming obstacles. I used to say Everyday Leaders is an inspirational show to help you overcome everyday obstacles in your life. And so that's what I still believe. Like, the vision was to create that. And I talk a lot about in this book about the journey, the things that happened. I didn't have everydayleaders.com when I started. I had a vision, and I had a desire to help people and learn from people. But, through all this, I got eliminated from my job for the first time. I ended up in the hospital with a panic attack, over the stress of am I really going the right direction? And so, what I know though is when you stay consistent and you have a desire from your heart to do something to make an impact, God will show up and put you in the right places, in the right spaces, and meet the right people. And you just have to keep believing that that journey is about growth and not be afraid. And so here you are, like, 6 years later, we've got a sponsor for our podcast. We have a studio. We do amazing things to help do cross marketing, and we're still building influence in our communities to help us help other people with their beliefs and building their companies. And so it's just been an amazing journey. And like I said, this is my seventh book, but all other six were co-authors, right? And then I said 2 years ago to Denola Burton, Enhanced DNA Publishing, I said, "Hey, Denola, I'd really love to do my own book with women." And so she guided me through the process. And then I got everybody together. And then I got overwhelmed. I kind of
Mhm.
dropped the ball in a lot of ways and yet kept people, okay, we're going to do it this way. And here's what the timelines are. And
Mhm.
then things just kept getting so overwhelming of like, can we get this done even? And
Mhm.
so, but things happen, right?
Yeah,
I learned a lot through the process, and every one of these women gave me grace.
I love that.
And they're here to tell the story, and they've been on the journey, and I love them so much. And I know this book is going to have so much impact because of what we've done as bonding together through this journey.
Mhm.
Um, it's just amazing. So
I love that. I love that. And, I love what you said about collaboration. And even though having your own platform, I think a lot of times we forget that, we can collaborate. And it does take a village. I remember back in the day when I was a kid, that was the mentality. Now it feels like it's every man for himself, you know?
Mhm.
So I really appreciate that because it does take a lot. It's not like a one and done, one commercial and everybody in the world is gonna see it.
Girl, and you know what? You and I were talking a couple of years ago, I think, Lachelle, about
Mhm.
the word co-opetition, right? When people
Yeah.
were talking about the collaboration and being either in competition or collaboration.
Mhm.
And that's why I think we have connected so well through the years because we did say like, "Hey, we're from Indiana. Let me hear your story. Come on my podcast," and pass the torch for women and all the things that we were doing that melded together. And
Yeah.
then, well, this is such a cute story because when Lachelle was in Indiana, I said, let's meet for coffee for breakfast.
Mhm.
So we decided to go to this cafe. It's my favorite cafe in Indianapolis, Illinois Street Food Emporium.
Yeah.
A little
Shout
plug for
out.
them.
Hey, get some gift cards, okay?
I'm
No.
telling you. But I come in and Lachelle's there and I'm like looking around for her and she was like, "Hey, I'm right here." And I was like, "You're so
I get that a lot.
So we had such a great breakfast. And, it's so awesome to have real conversations and real relationships that when you pop into any city around the world, you can just
Mhm.
say, "Hey, why don't we meet for coffee? Why don't we go to dinner?" And that's what this world has happened, this global world, from if you're inside, if you've not
Yeah.
become just an influencer, but if you just want to connect to people, you can have these relationships that are deep and meaningful and to help people like what we're doing tonight, you
I
know?
love it.
Yeah,
I
I love
love
it
it.
too.
Yeah. Well, we are going to take a quick little break, and it looks like we just have five of the authors. So
Okay.
we should be able to get everybody on line, but we're going to take a quick little break and then we'll be right back with the authors, y'all.
Yeah.
All right. Gotta love technology. I am not a real, the videographer or whatever, it's so funny. You never know what you're signing up for when you decide to do a podcast or something. So just putting that out there. So I'm gonna yield the mic to you, Melanie, so you can introduce and do the flow of what is coming up for you with everybody. That's the author. So glad to see
Okay.
everybody.
Yeah. You guys, Lachelle is awesome. This is so wonderful to be here and with Anita. It's great to meet you. These
Well,
women are awesome. I'm gonna start here with Kelly. She is let me tell you a little backstory about Kelly. Kelly joined a coaching group that I was with, and I forget even what we were calling it, just the discovery group and growth group with the John Maxwell team. And she had not joined the John Maxwell team yet, but Diane Dick introduced us, and Kelly joined this coaching group, and we became such great friends. So when a few years later, John Maxwell challenged me to have a daily growth challenge for consistency, Kelly said yes and joined our Bible study October 1st of 2019. And we are still doing that every single day. So that's our relationship. That's the foundation of our relationship. And she said yes to this book. And I love her stories. I love her heart. She's the most impacted person for personal growth I think I've ever met. So I'm going to start with her. And Kelly, I'm just proud of you and so glad that you're here.
Oh, thank you. It's a delight to be here. Absolutely. I am honored to be part of this group because as I've read through and reread a couple of the chapters in the last couple of days since I got the author's copy, I find that I'm learning about some of these women all over again. Some of them, like Jody, I thought I really knew. And now as I'm reading through her chapter for the second time, I'm like, wow, there's so much more to this woman than I ever imagined. I'm blessed. I had a career in the financial field for many, many years. I was a certified financial planner, stockbroker, registered principal. My husband and I owned and operated an insurance agency, and I'm an enrolled agent. I still am the enrolled agent. That was all on the career portion. On the other side, I also taught yoga. So, something to kind of balance it out. I have 5 children, 8 grandchildren, and 9 great-grandchildren. So,
just add up to almost 15, Lachelle.
thankfully, there's somebody else's. No, my children are all grown. One of my sons lives here in the Austin, Texas area where I live. The other one lives in the Dallas area, but both of my sons are in the Dallas, in Texas. Unfortunately, my 3 stepchildren have all passed away, but they're here in spirit. So when Melanie asked us to put this together, it was how can I say this? It was a loose request. It wasn't right about this specific topic. She gave us the opportunity to write what was on our hearts. And so the topic that I chose, my chapter is called It's the Little Things. And by that, we've all had little things that ended up not being little things, things that have changed our lives in just an amazing way. Do I have enough time to tell you one small story? Okay. It was 1990, maybe 91. It was Christmas Eve. And my husband and I and our family had moved to Texas, to the Dallas area from Florida. We were coming out of Albertsons. I think that's long gone. And it was raining. There was a puddle right up at the very front of the aisle that the cars were parked in. And there was a young woman sitting there, standing there looking at her back tire, which was flat in the puddle. And my husband handed me the bag of groceries that he had been carrying and said, I'm going to change her tire. He proceeded to do that, sitting in a puddle, by the way. Okay. It was cold that night too. And he was soaked by the time he finished. Well, I went and put our groceries back in our car, and then came back and started talking to this young woman. In just a few seconds, I realized that she had a young child in the back seat. And you know how children will, peer out over the back seat looking at somebody? Well, that's what this little girl was doing. She's 2.5 years old. She ultimately got out, and she was either in my arms or in the mother's arms. And we were talking. When Charlie finished changing the tire, we didn't think a whole lot about it after that. We went on to whatever our family had going on. And a couple months later, we had a knock on the door, and it was the young woman whose tire he had changed. She had asked if we had a business, and we had given her one of our business cards. We worked from home at that point in time. And she asked if she could come in and tell us a story. And we said, yeah, sure, come on in. Mm-hmm. And she proceeded to tell us that her parents had told her to get out. They disowned her when they found out she was pregnant. And just shortly before all this happened, her boyfriend had also disowned her. So there she was, just her and her 2.5-year-old child, no job, no place to live, and as she put it, nothing to live for. She had decided that morning that if somebody didn't show that they cared, she was going to kill herself and her child. And I get chills every time I talk about this, because my husband saved 2 lives that day. Was it a big thing for him? No, it was a tire. He was being a nice guy. But it ended up being something that was really huge in somebody else's life. Now, we all have things like that happen in our lives. It may not be quite that dramatic, but there are little tiny things that happen that go, oh, wait a minute, it impacts me this way rather than that way. And it happens all the time. So I challenge you all to look back in your lives, maybe even journal, and see what those little things are that made you turn left instead of right, or right instead of left. Because they really aren't little things.
That is awesome. I really love that story. Thanks so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
That's amazing.
Well, that's just one of several that I have in that chapter, so please read it.
And your chapter again is the name of it and where everybody can get a hold of you.
Well, the book is Everyday Moments, and my chapter is called It's the Little Things. I think it's the 3rd or 4th chapter in. And I'm assuming y'all are going to put the links on at the end of. Okay, fine. So I don't have a website, but I do have an email, and I'm on Facebook. So, people can get in touch with me that way.
Fantastic. Kelly, thank you again. Just your stories.
My pleasure.
They just touch hearts. And I'll tell you, you guys, we just launched this ebook, and we already have 5 or 6 reviews, and 2 of those are Kelly's, from Kelly's chapter. And they're talking about her stories and just how beautifully written they are. And so I just want to encourage you. Like, she is the most intentional person about personal growth that I've ever met. And you will learn a lot from her. So just so honored to have her in this project. So
when you get to know me, you'll realize that for years I've said writing, I'm the numbers person. Come on, I'm the accountant. I don't know how to write.
Yeah, it's so great.
I think Melanie created a monster when she started.
Hey, no, you unlock that door. You just unlock that, and it starts happening. So, well, let's go to Joyce, because I think she's experienced that same thing, Kelly. Joyce Brown is my mom, and I asked her to be a part of this, and she said yes.
Reluctantly.
And then she realized, that there was a lot of therapy with this. So, Mom, I'm not going to steal your thunder, but you're not Melanie's mom. You're Joyce Brown, author.
That's the way I'm known around town, Melanie's mom. I started saying, my name is Joyce Brown. I am Melanie's mom, but I am also Joyce Brown.
That's right. And you have a story. So Thanks for coming tonight.
You're welcome. I am 81 years old. I'm a retired RN. I live in Greenwood with my husband, Jerry, who's a retired educator. I have one daughter, Melahni Ake, and I think that's all God would give me because she takes the place of 10 people, and I can't even keep up with her. Yeah, she approached me about this book, and I was like, first of all, I'm like, Kelly, I have never written anything. I don't even journal, which I'm sure I should have years ago, but she said, think of a transformational moment, but she didn't give me anything else but that. So I'm thinking, okay. So I'm thinking, where could I go write that my mind would be clear? So I went to the library on the upstairs level, and it was just really peaceful. And she said, well, I need 3,000 words. And I'm like, 3,000 words? I will never be able to do 3,000 words. So I started writing, and I'm going to give you just a little teaser about I'm the second chapter. The Way It Was is the title of mine. And up until the age of 10, I had a very normal life. Everything was just rosy, and all of a sudden things changed, and it was all due to a move to a new place and just trying to adjust to a variety of things that happened one after another, and things I had no control over, really. I mean, I just had to live through them. And the more I wrote, the more I realized that I had more than one transformational moment. I had many. And a lot of those were very traumatic, and I didn't even realize it. And I just kind of went on with my life and never told anybody about it. Writing it out, and I was shaking at the end of it. I felt like somebody pulled my whole being outside of my body. I mean, I was just like, oh my God, I was like, this really happened. And it's been stuffed in the back. I mean, why would you tell anybody about your, childhood experience? You just go through them and go on with your life. And then I would read it for the second time, and it had the same effect on me. But the more I read it, the less effect it has on me. So I said, thank you, Melahni. That was the best present you could have ever given me to do that, because it would still be in there and it needed to come out. So that's the teaser.
And there's so much more. She's just getting started. So we know how that is. Thanks, Mom. We love you. We're so glad you're a part of this. It's pretty cool. Now we're going to actually speak to a boomers group on May 22nd here in Indianapolis. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I can't believe I'm going to get up and speak in front of somebody. That's another thing. Oh my gosh.
You sure are. So that's so cool. Well, thank you. Let's go to Jody Bondi. Let me just preface this by saying Jody and I met in 1999. We were playing women's ice hockey together downtown Indianapolis, and we lost touch, and then we reconnected, and it has been an amazing journey, and it's really fun to have Jody a part of this. And so, Jody, I'm going to turn it over to you, but thanks for being here and absolutely a part of this.
Well, Melahni, thank you for giving me the chance and coming back into my life and helping to rejuvenate me. So, I look at your mom and Kelly, and I mean, if we look at this group here, we're obviously the three veterans, and and I'm looking at them and I'm like, okay, I can still do things because they are. So that gives me hope that I can keep going. So, yeah, when Melanie asked me to, I was not a writer. I'm a former educator. I can get up in front of a classroom all day long and talk, but want me to write it down, and it's like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to, because stuff comes in my head. I can't make my hand move as fast as my brain does. And so I can't spill it out. And so we've been challenged to journal it. I'm like, I cannot, because I can't write it fast enough. And if I do, I'm not gonna be able to read it. So anyway, my contribution to the book is called Gifts. And the thing that I found out is, you are given things in life. And today, earlier, we talked, and it's not what do those things do to you, but what do they do for you? And so I talk about several things as I was growing up and the things that I was challenged with. If you know anything about the Simon Sinek's Why, Melanie is a challenger, and she does that to us all the time. I, though, also was very much a rebel. I was the oldest of two girls, and I was very much a rebel and always fighting against things. So I was thinking today, this part of it isn't in the book necessarily, but this is another one of my gifts. My dad had never gone to college, but my dad was probably one of the smartest men I knew. He could invent things and knew how to fix things and do all kinds of stuff. And we learned how to do it because, we were girls and we had to do it. So, I remember had to change the brakes on my car before I could learn to drive a car. And I reupholstered the car with my grandma who had done furniture reupholstery. So I did all those things. But my dad told me, he said, girls don't need to go to college. And I'm like, well, I'm going. You don't need to go to college. Well, I went to college. I believe I chose my major to kind of appease them a little bit. And so maybe I wasn't doing exactly what I wanted to do, but I went. And then I jumped around from jobs, and I did work in the field of biology for a while, and then I went into teaching. But here's where the gift came in. 8 years ago, well, so it had been 10 years ago, I guess it was, my dad had developed bronchitis. And so he ended up in the hospital, and he's in Michigan and I'm in Indiana. And he ended up in the hospital, and we went up there. I went up there to be with them while they're looking at things, and they found lung cancer. Now, my dad had smoked most of the life when I was growing up. And then when I had kids, they told him, Papa, if you don't stop smoking, you're going to die. I'm like, well, I told you that for how many years, and it didn't make a difference. But it did for my kids to tell them. So he started chemo, started things. So every 3 weeks, I would be driving up to Michigan to sit with them and go through the cancer treatments. And it wasn't until then. So I graduated from college in 1982, and it wasn't until in 2016, we're sitting in there with the oncologist, and he's going to try to start telling my mom and dad about what's going on. And my dad says, well, tell Jody, because she understands it, and then she can explain it to us. Mm-hmm. That was when I finally had validation that going to college was important. And that's why I had to fight against him. That's why I was such the rebel. He taught me to have that tenacity and that, I guess, brute force in some ways. And so I would sit there and ask all kinds of questions. The days we'd come in and I'd go, hi, Dr. Chen, I know I've got a list here for you today. You're going to just have to go with me on it. And I would ask all kinds of questions. I went as far as taking and drawing out on graph paper how big the tumors were in his lungs to show the shrinkage and things so that I could show him and explain what was going on. But to me, I didn't see that denial that he was giving up for so long as a gift until he got cancer. And so there's a lot of things like that in my story, because I said the big thing is when we think of a gift, we think of something all nice and shiny and we're excited to get it. Most of the gifts that I got through my life were not something that I was excited about. I was frustrated. I was angry. I was, dejected. But in the end, I found a way to make it work and to maybe help someone else later in life. And so I've used that as a blessing, that if somebody else gets into a tight spot, I've been through it too. They may not know that because I hide it very, very well. But I've been down some very dark roads, and I'm hoping I can be the person to help somebody else walk those roads themselves.
Thank you, Jody. Yep. You're such an encourager to so many people. And, you know, the why that Jody talks about, her why is makes sense. And so she does. She solves complex problems all day long. It's just what she does. So we're so excited for you to share your story and get that out there to the world, Jody. Thank you for just being you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Melanie?
Yes.
I guess I could be reached on Facebook, and also, do they have my email anywhere?
Yeah, we're going to put it all there. We got it all there.
Okay.
You're good.
Well, I forgot to tell you guys that.
Yeah. You're so cute. All right. Shauna, we're going to go to you next. Shauna is part of the John Maxwell team, and I actually met her through just social media. We were chatting on the John Maxwell pages, and we met for lunch, and we just became heart sisters. And I said, you know, I'm trying to finish this project, and I would love for you and your story to be included in here. You're such a compliment to every single other author, and you bring so much joy to the world. And so Shauna is going to talk to us about her chapter. And just, Shauna, thanks for everything that you do to bring joy to everyone.
Thank you, Melanie. That lunch that we had, we sat there in the restaurant crying, and we were there for hours. The poor waiter kept coming up. He didn't know what to say to us. The poor guy was so awkward. We had to keep saying, "We're good. We're really good." So my chapter is called Journey on Finding Joy in the Impossible. My website is journeyonyourself.com. My name is Shauna Snyder. I am a regional director for Weichert Real Estate Affiliates. I am as Melanie said, a Maxwell Leadership certified coach, speaker, and trainer. This is my second book. I wrote my own book and self-published it during COVID. So the way it all kind of came about was in 2018, I was laid off. My company downsized, and I'd never ever lost a job, and I've been working since I was 14. So it was pretty devastating, and it kind of spiraled me into this kind of a dark place. And I also started having this stirring in the pit of my stomach that God was just saying, there's more coming. There's more coming for you. You need to prepare yourself. But I didn't really know what any of that meant. I couldn't verbalize it to anybody. But one day I heard God speak to me and say, tell your story. And I've had some stuff, but everybody's had some stuff. So I kept telling myself, your story's not any different than so many people out there. Nobody wants to hear your story. But that gut feeling didn't go away. So I decided that I would blog. So I told my husband I was going to start a blog, and he said, well, what are you going to talk about? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like God is telling me to do this. And so he said, well, how often are you going to blog? I don't know that either. So what I said to myself was, I'm only going to blog when I feel the urging of the Holy Spirit telling me I've got something to say. And the weirdest things started happening. I would wake up in the middle of the night with something just like screaming to come out of me, and I'd have to get up and go to my computer and type it up. Some mornings I would wake up and just these thoughts would come to me, and I would sit down and I would just type, and I didn't know where any of it was coming from. I'd never been a writer before. I never wrote in the school newspaper or anything like that. But I started having people reach out to me from this blog saying, I needed this today. You helped me today. God sent me a message through that blog today. I just, from people I'd never heard of, from people I hadn't seen for 20 plus years. And so I knew then that there was something that God was using through all of this. And so during COVID, I lost another job. So 2 jobs in 2 years. And I spiraled even more. But I tell you, this time, it only took me a couple days. I remember waking up on a Monday morning and I just was like, okay, you've got two choices. You can stay in this pit where you're at, or you can drag yourself out of this and go do something. And thank God I chose to dig myself out and do something. I joined the Master Leadership team. I got another job very quickly, but I also wrote my book called Finding Joy in the Impossible. And I just tell my story. It's a story of an abusive childhood and an abusive marriage, and then um, infertility. I couldn't have a biological child, and then marrying somebody with kids, and all the step parenting that comes into play, and all the things that happen with all that. And so that's what I decided to write about. So it was just basically my story. But the amazing testimony in this is God turned my mess, and it's all been so messy, into a huge message of joy. And joy is my middle name, and joy is the guiding principle that gets me through life. And somehow through all of that, I've been able to find joy. And so I know that no matter what's happened in people's lives, you can heal, you can grow, you can forgive, and most of all, you can find joy. Do we forget? Do those things still scar us? Of course they do. It's taken years of counseling and praying, and God really having to heal some parts of my heart for me to find forgiveness. But I have found joy, and I know it's possible. So that's my new thing. I'm telling people now I'm a champion of joy, because I know that's why I'm here, and that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's what I am. I'm a champion of joy.
Love it.
Yes, you are. You're amazing. And thank you for bringing so much light to the world, because you just bring it. You would never know the things that you've struggled with. And I think that's the perseverance and the attitude that all these women have. It's whatever has been challenging to you that you're an overcomer. So just congratulations. And thanks for being a part of this, Shauna.
Thank you, Mel.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go in order of the chapters in the book, because I think that's really important for this one. And so, Stephanie Dolan, I'm going to have you go next. And thanks for being here. You're going to learn why these two ladies are connected, why they're so important in my life. I love them. We've done so much together over the past several months, and actually last year is when I met them, and they're amazing. And they really speak to my heart, because it's about finding your belief and what you do. And so, Stephanie Dolan, thank you again for just being here and being a part of this. And please share your story.
Yeah. So I just want to start off by thanking Melanie for getting this wonderful group of women together. I think that I was writing my chapter pretty late in the game. So I'm honored to have been asked, first of all, but seeing all of these stories come together in a really cohesive way that just showcases all of us, but there tends to be these common threads through all of our stories. It almost looked like we planned it, but we had the opportunity to, write about transforming moments in our lives. And Melanie, it's a fantastic idea, and I'm just honored to have been a part of it. But my name is Stephanie Dolan. I have, in my previous career, was a dental hygienist. I still help out in some of my very favorite offices, but my primary job now, changing career, is with Because One. But my chapter is really before Because One got started. My story starts back in the dental field, in a place where I feel like even as a kid, I was very strong-willed and very confident, and at times kind of loud in those things. And I was just in a situation where I lost myself, and started questioning a lot of my capabilities and where I was going in my life, and got to a place where like I said, I was just lost, and I was small. I've never been a small personality by any means, but I was definitely a smaller version of myself. And at a point in my life where I had lost a job, and that was a complete blindside, and letting myself kind of sit in that a little bit and feel those feelings, but in an organic way, being able to reflect back at that time, and the journey and the roller coaster and the chaos that I'd been on, and pull out pieces of that journey to carry with me on to my next journey. And it turned out to be a beautiful thing where I was able to continue on in the dental field in a wonderful office that I was probably one of the hardest decisions I've ever made was leaving that to start Because One with my family. So the journey was a learning one of learning, but I've been able to take, again, those little bits of, when you go through really hard things, there's nuggets of learning that can happen through that time, and being able to carry those with me into this next chapter with Because One has just been a beautiful thing. So the fun thing is I get to do that with my sister. So she's my sister. And I think that's there's a lot of favorite parts about Because One, but being able to do it with my sister is one that's up there in the top 2, probably.
These ladies are pretty special, if you didn't already know that. Oh my gosh. I just love you girls. It's what they've created, what their family created, what their energy is, and you're going to read so much about their story and why it's so important. And yet you think about the people in your life that you don't really tap into, that you may not think about as having access to something that you could do. It could be a potential that you need to have or you need to reach. And I always say this, those people that really aggravate you sometimes in your life, and you're like, but who thinks that they have value, right? There are other people in the world that see them as like, they can't live without them. And so we all have gifts, like Jody said, and we need to really think about, what are the things we're trying to achieve in our own life? And who is right beside us that actually could help us? Like Lachelle, collaborator girl. Like it is so important. So, so thank you, Stephanie and Stacia. You guys are you have my heart for a lot of reasons. They help me with my nonprofit, which is Making Everyday Leaders Incorporated, where we are helping at-risk girls at Shortridge High School this year. And we have been there every single day, everyday leaders, every day. And the community just surrounded us to give back and to help these girls be stronger leaders and invest in themselves. But these girls came on my podcast and I said, I need you. I need your help because I need your platform that you have created. And so, Stacia, I want you to talk a little bit about your story and just, how all of that happened, because without you, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have the success that I have. And it's just these moments that you meet, it's these moments that you meet. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Stacia. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Mel. And thank you again so much for not only the opportunity to write a chapter and tell our story, but also giving me and my sister that opportunity. It's been a fun thing to compare chapters and just kind of see the way that our lives and our paths in the professional realm of things were able to cross again. So I'm Stacia Jones. I'm also an owner of Because One alongside my sister. My chapter in the book is called From Idea to Impact: How One Family's Idea is Transforming Lives. So the main premise, the main theme throughout my chapter is about taking the time to make sure that you're present and that you are actually acknowledging and recognizing the opportunities in front of you. Also making sure that you're not quieting the ideas, that you're not quieting your gifts, and that when God says you're going over here or I'm opening this door, to be obedient and lean in to your idea. So our family, the idea that just got so loud, was centered around not only helping nonprofit organizations, but truly by transforming lives by giving each and every person the opportunity to make a difference. there's such an amount of joy that you can really only feel and experience when you're able to help your fellow human being. So we provide a space for all of our nonprofits to be able to clearly communicate their needs. What do they need for the mission and for the communities that they serve? We also further the reach of every one of our nonprofits by introducing them to a new and engaged audience. And then also raising awareness of what our nonprofit partners are doing throughout the year. So we truly believe that every good deed has the power to inspire the next good deed. Unfortunately, with a lot of the ways that we give currently, we feel great about it. The organization, the person that we helped feels great, but that good deed kind of stays in that transaction a lot of times. How do we take one good positive action and turn it into the next? So that's all about Because One, but you'll see in the chapter kind of those points of impact where our family couldn't ignore this idea any longer. Too many doors were opening, too many chips were falling into place, and how me and my sister were able to come back together and work in the professional realm, not only together, but making such an impact. And nonprofits are the groups that know where the gaps are. They know in our communities who is hurting and exactly what they need. So it's been just such a pleasure to come alongside Melahni for her nonprofit and many other nonprofit partners that we've come alongside. And something too, as Melahni was coming to us with this idea, and it was, everyday moments, lessons that transform lives. I'm like, transform lives. This is what we do. And, something that I love is that the transformation and the stories that we're telling is, of course, for the readers, and is of course there for people to say, oh wow, I've experienced that as well. But along the way, it's transformed all of us. And that's something too that I think, Jody, you kind of spoke to in the way of those gifts, where it's painful at the time, but when you look back, that's the moment that transformed you. And that's the moment that there was joy, and that's the moment that there was transformation and growth in ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yep. This has been such a therapeutic process, hasn't it?
I think I want to buy the book.
I know that's right. I'm like,
Definitely.
All right. That's right. That's your pitch. Go to Amazon right now. Everyday Moments, Lessons that Transform Lives. We need your help. We need you to buy the ebook for 99 cents because we are trying to get to #1 Amazon bestseller. And that category, we are climbing. We are climbing quickly, but we need a few more books. So if you could go there right now or when you're watching this and just purchase that for 99 cents, even if you're going to see us live and get your autographed copy, even if you're going to go to an event and get the hard copy or order the book on Amazon, we need your help for that. Just 99 cents today so that we can get to that #1 Amazon bestseller listing and just celebrate, because these women have worked so hard and waited so long, and we are just celebrating the journeys of life. And anybody can do this, but not everybody does it.
yeah.
Not everybody does it because it's hard and it's vulnerable and it is important and it really changes you. So I just want to encourage people, get this book because it will change you.
I love this, and I really appreciate everybody sharing and being so transparent. I find that is really where the relatability lies. A lot of times I went through my own journey of depression for 13 years. I was hospitalized 3 times, and I had so much guilt and shame around that. But when I learned to tell my story, that was the thing that other people related to and resonated with. All the time that I tried to cover it up, pretend I was perfect, and like I didn't have any problems, it wasn't really relatable to people. So I love how you guys are sharing from the heart, and I'm ready to get out there and work.
I know, right?
I'm ready. Okay. Anita, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, this has been amazing. Let me just say, ladies, you all, I mean, my God, my hat goes off to you. You know, Melanie, I know how hard it can be. Lachelle and myself, were in an anthology of 31 authors. And I have no idea how you all do it. I have thought about doing it myself, but when I hear the story, you know what? I appreciate the work that you all put into that. But I just had one question, maybe for everybody. I don't know if we have the chance to get into it, but my one question for everyone or whoever wants to chime in on it is, how has telling your story? Because I know if you all were like, I'm not a writer, whatever. I understand. So how has telling your story, helped you to see yourself as an author or writer, and how has it felt to impact and empower others?
I'll be happy to answer that, or at least as well as I can for me. I think that it's important for all of us to impact others as much as we possibly can. Everyone is a leader in some way each day. We aren't necessarily all leaders where we work, but we are at other points in time. And I'm not talking about somebody that has a title. Yeah, there's a positional leader, but I'm talking about leadership in the way that John Maxwell talks about it. Because a leader is a person who is proactive. I recently joined a senior center. I moved about 6 months ago to a smaller city. I live in the Austin, Texas area, is what you heard me say initially. I'm actually in a little town you've probably never heard of. It's called Buda, B-U-D-A. And it's only, I don't know, probably 20,000 people compared to the million plus in Austin. But the community is so welcoming. And it was exactly what I needed when I moved. I had been living in the same house that my husband had passed away in a number of years ago. And I had let that house just kind of envelope me. So reaching out now, and I've realized I can be back to where I once was, where I'm outgoing and helping others and talking to people and telling them about my experiences in the hopes that it's going to help them. So to round that back to writing, I'm not going to stop writing. I've been writing the last several days. And I had started a book, golly, I think it was before Melanie even brought this topic up. And I wrote probably 5 pages of it, and that was the end of it. The title of it is Two Blessed Women. TWO, but in parentheses, TOO. So both ways, two blessed and two blessed. And I'm talking about my mother and my grandmother because they led such exceptional lives for the period of time that they lived in. So I think it's something that can help others grow, just hearing their stories also. But thank you for having us on here. This is a tremendous way to help others. And I think that's what all of us want to do.
Yeah. And Anita, I'd like to tell you too, Anita. So as a teacher, and I taught high school, so I never got hugs. I didn't get those things that you get when you're an elementary teacher. And it wasn't until years later that I would hear back from students, and I would find out things that I had done that I had no idea. And so this book for us, some of these stories have been ruminating in our minds and our hearts for years. And this for me is a way for me to finally get those hugs. And it may be from complete strangers, but it's from somebody who I've helped to be able to move off their stuck spot.
Oh, wow. I love that. I love that. And I can identify a little bit with that. My mom was a teacher and principal for 20 some odd years. And I never, teachers do not get the credit they deserve. They definitely don't get the pay they deserve. So I just commend you for the work that you've done, especially with high schoolers. I remember being in high school and I was something else. Okay. something else. Thank God for salvation. But anywho, and Kelly, I actually used to live in Texas. Me and my ex-husband are both ex-military,
Okay.
and we
San
were
Antonio?
in Killeen, Texas,
Oh, Colleen.
Fort
Okay.
Hood. Right, we were in that area. So a lot of my story that I tell in my book that I'm writing now, my solo project, is some of the things that happened with me in Killeen, Texas, and Austin, and all those places. You know, I had a traumatic marriage in the beginning, and I went through toward the end, 16, 17 years later, a 6-year divorce. So, you know, I minister and I talk to women about, you know, transitioning from that and, you know, going back to being a single mom and all those things. So, yeah, I can identify with Texas and all the little towns as well.
You know, Anita, everybody has a story, right? That's the thing. We all think, oh, my story's not good enough or nobody would want to hear it. But, you know, John Maxwell, one of the very first things I remember him saying was, you will reach more people by writing your story than you ever would just speaking one-on-one or being in groups. Like, get to the point where you can write about your story and you're going to really change the world and make an impact. And I think I want to encourage people, just get started. Like, even if it's a blog, like Shauna said, if it's something on your heart and you want to share it and you even want to share an experience, you know, it's really important that people can connect to something that they say that matters to me. And I believe that too. And so I think that's really kind of the essence of this book, is helping you believe that you can and knowing how to take that action step to do it. And
Love that. You
so
know,
I'm
and it is Share a Story Month, I think. You know how
It
I get
is.
on nationaltoday.com.
Yeah.
So share a story, you know, that's what I want to encourage everybody. But, you know, one thing that was coming up when you were all talking is that you don't have to do it alone. You know, a lot of times I just know for myself, I was an only child. So I was used to doing things by myself, but realizing that you can get a team, a group of people that can help you on that journey, you know, as you continue to find your voice and build your confidence about some of these hard topics that, you know, we have navigated through. So you don't have to do it alone. Collaboration is a great way to do it. And get your copy of the book today.
yes, get your copy of the
Plug,
book.
plug.
We have 3 more
Mhm.
authors. Shelley Bays is a John Maxwell coach, and she has an amazing story about a future and a hope. Chris May as she's a girls hockey coach, which we connected and went to nationals and did some amazing things together. But she's got some experience about relationships, you know, in her chapter. And then Angie Wood talks about just her faith in God from a traumatic brain injury and coming back and relearning how to do a lot of things in her life because of a physical injury that happened, and it really turned into something that was unbelievable, and she's really working herself in her way back. So you know, every single story will touch your heart. It will change your heart. It will change your ideas about the things in the world. It's being launched right here on Mother's Day. You know, the real book will be available, and you can go and buy it from Denola's Enhanced DNA Publishing site. We have an author page, and anybody can go right there to Enhance DNA Publishing. You can find everyday moments. I was in mentoring moments with her, everyday moment, and you can find the authors, and you can buy the book from each one of these ladies and have them give you an autographed copy. And that's what I love about the working with Denola and Enhanced DNA Publishing. She just preciously carries you as an author and enhances you and takes care of you and makes sure that there are things along the way that you don't know how to do, and she just does them. She's like my little elf, you know, like
Love that.
Santa Claus. She's like, you need to do this and I'll do that. But I love her, and I've worked with her on a lot of projects, and she's really been patient to help us make sure that we got everything that we needed to tie this one up. And so I'm just really proud of her. And then one more shout out to Bonnie Shaun. Bonnie found me. I was on a summit with a group, and Amanda Rose did a just one of those, summits that she interviews a lot of people. And Bonnie heard my story about just my life and some of the parts in this book. And part of it was being on the Bible study every morning. I think we had been on it for like 500 days or something at that time.
Wow.
And it hit her in her soul. And she thought, I wonder if this person's really authentic about that. I mean, does somebody get on a Bible study every day? And so Bonnie shows up on Memorial Day a couple of years ago, 3 years ago now, it will be on Memorial Day. And she hopped on and she tells the story of, like we said, hi, Bonnie, welcome. And she's been on every day since.
Wow.
And she just says for her, that's what she needed in her spiritual growth. And she just really connected to the messaging. And she has changed our lives so much and helped us grow. But it's those one little things, and my chapter is about maximizing your moment. And so it's thinking again about the things that you do right now, that if you just took that action step, what could it turn into, right? What could it turn into? You got to check it out. So anyway, but that's really the compilation of people, and their hearts are so big. And I'm just, I'm so honored, Lachelle, that you said yes and that you wanted to host us, because it's so important.
Absolutely.
What you do. And we appreciate it. And Anita, it's so great to meet you.
As well, all of you ladies, you all have touched my heart this evening. I appreciate it so very much, and I admire that you all are all, must have gone through the training with John Maxwell, because I went through a brief one with him and myself years ago, and learned about servant leadership, and it, he's awesome. So I love him, so I know I love y'all too. Okay.
He's the inspiration behind a lot of this. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. But,
well, we really appreciate you guys coming on, and just being you. That's another thing with collaboration. In the past, I used to think, oh, I have to do everything perfect and conform and try to do everything. But when you just show up as yourself, you just never know how you can impact other people, and just sharing your story can encourage somebody else. So we wish you guys much success in all that you do. And we encourage you as the viewer to reach out. If one of these chapters really resonates with you, reach out to the author and have that conversation. It just is being open, because you just never know where a conversation can lead. I think back to, I don't know how many years it's been. It seems like a long time. It seems like I've known you forever, Mel, from just reaching out on LinkedIn, right? Reaching out on LinkedIn to a Facebook Live. And here we are today. So we've been business partners and just a number
We've
of
done a lot together. You were in our summit in 2021 when we did our 6-hour live summit. You were part of that too. So
yeah,
I mean, I know, girl, we go back.
It's been a minute for sure. I love it. So, and thank all of you ladies so much for being here. And please come back. Keep us updated, whenever you're speaking or have events. That's really what we're about, because, I feel like I have learned to just expand my network. It just reminds me of my household, right? I can't do it all. So if I think that I can, I'm going to be in trouble, so just having more hands helping out, it's just the more the merrier. So really love what you guys are doing. And thanks so much for being here, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It's been a pleasure.
Welcome. So you've heard it here that this book is going to be out on Mother's Day. And so we are wishing them much success. And I have a quick little clip from one of my children for Mother's Day. So we're going to conclude with that. But want to thank you guys all for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
So it's Mother's Day. I just want to come on here to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom. I love you so much. I appreciate all you've done. I appreciate all the siblings you've given me, and all the sacrifices you made as my mom. I really don't know what I would do without you. I'm super grateful and super blessed to call you my mom and to be able to experience life with you still by my side and to be able to call you whenever I need you and know that you're going to be there for me. So I love you, Mommy. I hope this was the best Mother's Day ever. And I wish that you have many, many more. Love you.